We know American presidents are capable of greatness. We've seen it throughout our history. And when it happens, you know it. You can feel it, even things that happened before we were born.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. In the world of freedom, the proudest boast is, Ich bin ein Berliner.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Great stuff, great men. Kennedy, but where are we right now? Joe Biden on his first international trip, and we're not seeing greatness.
And I've said before, and I apologize to repeat, I didn't take Sullivan to take him for national security advisor. I'm leaving out a lot of people here. I apologize. I'm going to get in trouble. But anyway, we'll get back to that. But there's a lot that is happening.
All right, it's kind of sad. Did you get all that? Of course not. Take a look. Let's try to get through this together. And I've said before, I apologize for the why didn't Jake Sullivan from the State Department. I'm leaving out a lot of people here. I apologize. I'm going to get in trouble. But anyway, we'll get back to that. Come on. This is, and look at his staff. Look at how they're looking at him. Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, staring right at him. I believe rather nervously, as in what's going to happen next. The woman on the left actually just staring straight ahead, wants to pretend none of this is happening. And actually, people are pretending that none of this is happening, the media especially.
Earlier today, President Biden again drawing a sharp contrast with former President Trump as he ended a 17-year-long trade war with Europe over airplane subsidies that will temporarily suspend tariffs on European luxury goods, including French wine, for American consumers.
We're reasserting the fact that it's overwhelming the interest of the United States of America to have a great relationship with NATO and with the EU. I have a very different view than my predecessor did.
All right, can you speak up? You can hear him above the cameras. And I'm sorry, that's actually part of leadership. Maybe he's wowing them behind closed doors, but part of leadership is the bearing, the command presence, making your voice heard. And he's not doing that. And did you notice he's still talking about his predecessor? And this is planned. You know, they got a shot of his notes just before a few comments. And here it is. Let me tilt it for you so you can see. Somebody took this picture and look at his planned talking points. Sunday, June 13th, while he was in England, Trump abused power. Trump DOJ out of control. Now we have to clean it up. I've made it clear this DOJ will reflect my values and principles and priorities, not Donald Trump's. I mean, the guy is obsessed. You won the election, right? So take the ball and run with it. Why are you focused on President Trump? And you know what? You shouldn't be thinking about President Trump. How about Vladimir Putin, the killer you're going to have a meeting with tomorrow? And this guy literally is a killer. I mean it. I think he's killed people with his own hands. KGB for all those years. Putin is going to be a tough adversary. Now, I've said before, I hope Joe Biden mops the floor with this guy. I don't think it's going to happen, though. Putin knows America. He's been studying America a lot. Take a look.
Did you order Alexei Navalny's assassination?
Of course not. We don't have this kind of habit of assassinating anybody. That's one. Number two is, I want to ask you, did you order the assassination of the woman who walked into the Congress and who was shot and killed by a policeman?
Wow. Pretty good question, right? Did you? Not to that guy, but Ashley Babbitt. What about that? She was shot, unarmed. What's going to happen when Joe gets asked about that? I don't think Joe can handle it. Now, usually after you meet with Putin, this has happened since 1999 or 2000, you meet with the press and the president. Bill Clinton did it in 2000. George W. Bush did it down in Crawford, I think. Let's see, Barack Obama had that, what they call a bilat. Donald Trump could handle it. But what about Joe Biden? It's not going to happen. They've already announced no joint press conference with Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin.
Peter, has there been a final decision as to whether the two presidents will appear for questions after the meeting?
Lester, with the president saying that he's prepared to confront Vladimir Putin, we now know that he will not be doing it in public. The White House announcing that President Biden will not hold a joint news conference afterwards with Putin. Instead, he'll take questions alone. Lester?
Peter Alexander tonight. Thank you.
Moving right along. No, why not? How about the why? Who, what, when, where, why, and how in journalism, huh? Why not? Well, the answer is obvious, even to them, but they don't want to talk about it because Joe Biden would be outclassed and he can't do what his four predecessors did, have a joint press conference with Vladimir Putin. He can't handle it. Vladimir Putin now has been at this for a very long time. Presidents just come and go, and he remains. 5 presidents. And for President Xi, 3 presidents so far. You know, actually, I'd like to make a recommendation. I think we should reevaluate this. Members of Congress can run for re-election until they die. Same for the Senate, same for most governors. But presidents, we limit them to 2 terms. That wasn't always the case. George Washington set the precedent, but there was nothing constitutional until after FDR came along. And I guess, did he overstay his welcome? He was there from, 32 to 45 or so, elected 4 times. And that was just too much. So they passed a constitutional amendment to say 2 terms max. Well, you know what? That potentially puts us at a disadvantage. Presidents come and go. Other leaders stay. Bureaucrats, the deep state stays. And that brings me to Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci has had that job for, I think, since the Carter administration at the National Institutes of Health. He has been there for a very, very long time. And now you'll know he's under fire. We're going through his emails, and he's very, very defensive. He may face an investigation into how some of that grant money was spent at that Wuhan lab, but he's very defensive. And I think in his defensiveness, it reveals that we all might be onto something.
It's very dangerous, Chuck, because a lot of what you're seeing as attacks on me, quite frankly, are attacks on science. Because all of the things that I have spoken about consistently from the very beginning have been fundamentally based on science. Sometimes those things were inconvenient truths for people, and there was pushback against me. So if you are trying to, get at me as a public health official and a scientist, you're really attacking not only Dr. Anthony Fauci, you're attacking science.
Quite a statement, huh? Wow. Have you ever heard of a second opinion, doctor? We're allowed to get that. We want that, especially with you around, huh? If you attack me, by the way, Greg Kelly, you're not attacking the media, you're attacking me, and that's fine. All right, Dr. Fauci, that's how it works, and not all scientists agree.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.